On Saturday, Liverpool take on Southampton at Anfield in the club's last match before we break for the World Cup. Liverpool currently sit 8th in the Premier League table, and depending on how results go above them, they could go into the World Cup break in the top 6, which is a huge incentive in itself. Ahead of the clash, there is some massive news of which we would like to share with you, plus we take a look at which Liverpool players have been called up to their nations for the World Cup, and also discuss the Carabao Cup 4th round draw. There is so much to cover in today's video. And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel guys. Before we get into today's video, please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool content. On Wednesday, Liverpool beat Derby County on penalties in the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup. On Thursday night, following Manchester United's win against Aston Villa, the draw for the 4th round was conducted, and Liverpool have been drawn to play away to Manchester City. The tie is actually the next match after Saturday's Premier League game against Southampton, arriving days after the World Cup final in the week before Christmas. The exact date is to be confirmed, but it will be either on December 20th, 21st, or 22nd, potentially just 2 days after the World Cup final. And while that may seem like an inconvenience to some, it could actually provide Jurgen Klopp's squad with an ideal match to return to playing action ahead of the Boxing Day trip to Aston Villa. Liverpool will be hoping to have Luis Diaz back from injury for the match, while anybody not involved in the latter stages of the World Cup will also be available. Liverpool will have fewer players than Manchester City at the World Cup, and if the Reds win this match, it would literally be Liverpool's cup to lose, as Spurs, Arsenal and Chelsea have already been eliminated in the 3rd round. Should Liverpool progress, beating Manchester City, the 5th round takes place in the week commencing January 9th. This is the full 4th round draw. Wolverhampton Wanderers vs Gillingham, Southampton vs Lincoln City, Blackburn vs Nottingham Forest, Newcastle United vs Bournemouth, Manchester City vs Liverpool, Manchester United vs Burnley, MK Dons vs Leicester City, Charlton Athletic vs Brighton. On Thursday afternoon, Gareth Southgate confirmed his England 26-man squad for the World Cup, with Trent Alexander-Arnold and Jordan Henderson receiving a call-up. The England manager's use of Alexander-Arnold has been hot topic for some time, with doubts over the Liverpool right-back would make his squad for Qatar 2022. But the Scouser is one of 3 natural right-backs included, with Manchester City's Kyle Walker and Newcastle United's Kieran Trippier also in the final 26-man squad. The other Liverpool player who will be a part of the England squad is Jordan Henderson, who is one of 6 midfielders selected by Southgate, alongside Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips, Jude Bellingham, Mason Mount and Conor Gallagher. Henderson remains England's vice-captain, but only played a bit-part role in their Euro 2020 campaign as he continued to recover from a long-term injury. Both Alexander-Arnold and Henderson were also a part of England's squad that reached the semi-finals of the 2018 World Cup. Alexander-Arnold's place in the squad for this year's tournament would have been less certain if Reece James was fit, with the Chelsea right-back missing out due to a knee injury. 5 Liverpool players have now been called up for the tournament, with Alisson and Fabinho included in Brazil's squad, and Konaté selected for France. Virgil van Dijk and Darwin Núñez are expected to feature for the Netherlands and Uruguay respectively, while it remains to be seen whether Thiago will be included for Spain. On Saturday, Liverpool play their last game before we break for the World Cup, and that match will be against Southampton, who currently sit inside the bottom 3 in the Premier League after a run of 5 defeats and 2 draws in their last 2 matches. Southampton's hierarchy reached their breaking point with Ralph Hasenhüttl following last weekend's 4-1 defeat to Newcastle, dismissing the Austrian after nearly 4 years in charge. Ahead of the clash with Liverpool, there is some massive news, as the club have announced that they have appointed a new manager in Nathan Jones. Jones left Luton in 9th place in the Championship during his second spell in charge of the Hatters. Southampton is his first job in the Premier League after time in League 2, League 1, and the Championship with stints at Stoke City, Luton Town, and briefly as a caretaker manager at Brighton back in 2014. His first task is no easy feat, but Jones will no doubt take encouragement from Roberto De Zerbi, earning a draw at Anfield in his first match with Brighton earlier this season. It is Liverpool's job to make sure a similar script is avoided in what will be the final game before the World Cup. Jurgen Klopp and his team will have a job on their hands to analyse Jones' basic philosophy, which is physical and fast-paced, but he's not afraid of keeping things tight, and that may be the case on Saturday. The new manager bounce is a real thing, and we don't want this game to be harder than it needs to be, as Liverpool need to get all 3 points. In other news, summer signing Trent Doherty scored a debut goal as Liverpool under-21s beat Dinamo Zagreb. With 9 of his regular starters involved with the first team in the Carabao Cup, Liverpool's under-21s manager was forced to experiment in the opening game of the Premier League International Cup. That brought starts for the likes of Tommy Pilling, Ranel Young and Francis Geimer from the under-18s, along with a debut for Irish winger Doherty, a summer signing from Derry City. Up against a promising Dinamo Zagreb side, Liverpool produced a controlled performance on their way to a 2-0 victory. Luis Comas, a prolific goalscorer, having shifted to the number 9 role this season, got the home side off the mark in the 3rd minute, firing home excellently from Young's cutback. The Young Reds remained the dominant side throughout the first half, with Mateusz Musolowski a real threat in the attacking third. However, they were unable to add to their tally. That was until the 72nd minute, when Doherty picked up the ball and slotted it in after receiving a penalty, scoring in his first outings for the under-21s. It brings the youngsters' tally to 10 goals and 3 assists in 16 games for the academy so far this campaign, on a night when his fellow new arrival Ben Doak stepped up to the senior side. Hopes are high for Doherty within the Liverpool backroom, and the 16-year-old passed after a big test on his under-21s bow. Next up for the under-21s is another home tie, this time against Paris Saint-Germain, on January the 11th, with no under-21 fixtures now until January the 8th when they take on Tottenham in the league. Liverpool fans, do you think the club can firstly win the Carabao Cup? And secondly, what are your score predictions for Southampton on Saturday? Let me know them down there in the comment section below. That brings us to the end of today's video. Please do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for daily Liverpool content. Thank you, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Peace.